부릉부릉.
533 rocks. We rode toward the Grey Lake as we previously discussed with the Indigo Elder. We can see some rocks poking out of the pale opaque waters of the lake. Looks like we'll have to maneuver our way between them. Who wants to bet that we're gonna fight mermaids? As we discussed earlier, we took a different route from the Indigo Elder. We would to first arrive at separate destinations for our plan. Something's floating over there. Not long after we crossed the line where the lake water turned dark grey, we noticed something pale peeking out from the lake.
저건 섬인 걸까요?
암초일 수도 있다. 어쩌면 이번 호수는 이런 장애물들을 피하며 항해하는 게 중요한 곳일지도 모르겠고.
크기가 들쭉날쭉하긴 하네요. 저건 암초라고 보기엔 크기가 엄청 커요.
Also, this would be like a constant challenge, right? Whereas earlier lakes had this kind of like a countdown to when they actually started getting hard to navigate and attacking you in a way.
뭔가 느껴지는 것이 있어, 단테. 저것들이 몰려있지 않은 공간을 찾아 나아갈 수도 있겠지만 그쪽이 틀린 방향이라면 작전이 물거품이 될 테니.
대략적인 방향이라도 알려주시면 그걸 기반으로 예상 위치를 계산해 보겠습니다.
The most general direction might not be the way to navigate through this thing, you know? We might have to go a roundabout way.
쏙빛 노인이 준 정보도 있으니 예측은 어느 정도의 정확성이 보장될 거라고 판단됩니다.
뭐야, 시계 대가리가 나침반 역할을 하는 거야? 진작 그랬으면.
호수라는 특수성을 가진 광활하게 넓고 트여있는 공간이라 시도되는 방법일 뿐입니다. 육지의 도시는 지상과 지하로 온갖 건축물과 그 안에 높은 밀도의 사람들로 가득 차 있기 때문에 황금가지를 근거리가 아니면 느끼기도 어렵고 가리킨 방향대로 간다 해도 거대한 벽이 막고 있으면 의미가 없죠.
결국 다른 데에서는 다시 시계 대가리라는 거구만.
What a useless power. Ah, so that's why I could feel the golden bow even when it was so far away. I raised my finger and pointed towards the general direction of this vague feeling.
확인했습니다. 해당 방향으로 상회하죠.
Ishmael wordlessly steered the ship according to Faust's words. We grew ever nearer to the island, or reef. A heavy silence descended upon the sinners. Until Ishmael gasped with a sudden realization. I'm a bitch, holy shit, how have I ever not realized it before?
이 호수였구나.
There was an incomprehensible look on Ishmael's face. Maybe I saw unrestrained joy. Joy of finding something she's been searching for so long. Such an overwhelming, all-consuming happiness that her facial muscles began to twitch on their own. Yeah, that's what happiness looks like. Maybe I saw extreme fear. The fear in the face of destined, unavoidable horror. The lake's splashing waves hit her trembling face and rolled down her cheeks. Or maybe she was sweating from dread.
이스마엘, 무언가 깨달은 정보가 있는 건가요? 네, 여기서 어떻게 해야 할지는 너무 명확하게 알고 있죠. 오티스 씨, 저는 후미에 있어서 확실하게 보이지 않아요. 그러니까 지금 우리 배 앞에 어떤 것들이 몇 개나 어느 정도의 크기인지 제게 빠짐없이 알려주세요.
암초들 주변에는 거센 해류가 흐르고 있으니 빠르게 피할 방법을 파악해야 하는 건가. 알았다.
Otis nodded emphatically before rising from her seat to gaze at the path ahead. She balanced herself as the ship rocked.
350m 가량의 민무늬에 번들거리는 초소형 암초 하나. 그보다 500m쯤 먼 거리에 혹처럼 툭 붉어진 모양이 상징적인 중간 규모의 암초 하나.
계속하세요.
How is she passing this information this
얼마
quickly?
떨어지지 않은 거리에 구멍이 숭숭 뚫린 거친 질감의 대형 규모의 섬. 자세히 보니 그런 것들이 서너 개 뭉쳐 있는 모양새군.
It's quite hard for me to just take it face value, to be honest.
좋아요.
I wonder if it's gonna get explained. Ishmael began fiddling with the steering gear and the engine's output levers as though something had clicked in her mind.
좋아. 첫 번째 암초는 성공적으로 통과했다.
뭔가 암초라기에는 생각했던 질감하고는 다르네요.
저건 단단한 암석이나 흑재질로 만들어지지 않았고.
G means good eye, I think.
두 번째도 통과.
야, 앞에 덩치 큰 놈하고 길쭉 큰 놈한테 가려져서 안 보여서 그런데 재질이 뭐가 이상하단 거야?
저건 살아 숨쉬는 거다.
뭐?
잠깐. 물개. 네놈 어디로 좋다는 거냐? 이대로면 세 번째 암초에 부딪힌다.
맞게 가는 거예요, 오티스 씨. 우린 거기에 내릴 거거든요.
It's where you get off, it looks like.
잠깐, 저거 말하는 거야? 저기, 야, 쳐들었어도 혼자서만 난리치라고. 저 위에 사람은커녕 나무 한 그루도 없는데 뭘 얻겠다고 내려?
생각하는 방식부터 틀렸어요, 당신.
뭐가 틀렸다는? 으아!
A loud shock and an ear-splitting sound of the skiff scratching and sliding against something cut Heathcliff off.
야이씨, 운전 똑바로 안 해?
하니? 맞겠군.
Man, Ryosh is all-knowing as well. Can't wait for her chapter to be a massive bitch.
흰색... 설마... 이스마일 씨?
네. 애초에 이것들은 섬이 아니에요.
What we thought were islands suddenly rumbled, vibrating as ground tremors from an earthquake.
전부 어느 고래의 일부예요. 이건.
A colossal creature shudders as it wakes from a long slumber. I mean, I guess that it wasn't islands or reefs, but I thought it would be like several ones. I didn't think it would all be the same creature. Alright, these are new. At least they don't tell me anything. The palette blue mermaids. Not much to do here other than hoping for the best and win rating this.
무지하니까
I think I asked this before, but I'm just gonna ask again. Are there really people that don't press win rate in regular encounters? Like, is there any point in not pressing win rate in a regular encounter? I don't think it can go any quicker if you do it manually.
제압 완료.
보자, 너.
맞는 거야.
It's kind of sad for it to be like that, but I've also stated this before. It's just a way to look at the animations at times. Here we go. There's a bigger one. A palette. It's a palette blue, and this one is palette and blue. I can't say I can determine the difference here, but it's bigger. Gain 2 offense level, defense level for every living palletified ally, not counting this unit. At 10% max HP, inflict 20 SP damage and hit, inflict pallet noise next turn, then dies. This is pretty similar to what we had before. And again, it's a second turn, so our sanity is high enough to just have the almost overwhelming advantage here. I didn't mention that last video, but obviously I also switched in... I switched out Ryosh and instead took Sinclair with me. I might have to switch out Sinclair again, because I don't think he works that well in this team, but he obviously worked very well in the Ricardo encounter. I'm not sure he was as important as Heathcliff and his broken passive, but he did work better than Ryosh. Ryosh was always the first of my sinners to die. In every single prior ditch, he was the first one to die. So I thought that there was no point to take it with us. Sinclair's even, like, he's not even up by 4, I don't think, and he's still level 35 instead of 40. So I didn't bother leveling him up. As soon as I switched him in, like, everything went so much better immediately. Kind of crazy. 534, the pallid whale. What we thought to be a rock was a porous whale. When its mermaids crawled out of the holes, we defeated them, but This isn't the way we're looking for, is it? What is Ishmael thinking? I could tell from the look on Heathcliff's face that I wasn't the only one wondering about this.
좋아, 알아들었어. 땅덩어리인 척하던 이것들이 전부 고래였고 이 숭숭 뚫린 구멍 같은 것들에게서 인어가 튀어나온다는 것도 알겠어.
It's like pimples. Or tryptophobia again. Maybe I'm gonna include a picture of it this time.
근데 피해갈 수도 있는 싸움을 왜 굳이 하는 거냐? 어? 스트레스 해소? 뭐 그런 거냐? 두더지 잡듯이?
그럴 리가 있나요? 제가 알고 있는 게 이 방법뿐인 거예요.
설명할 생각으로 그렇게 말했을 거라고 믿는다.
Oh, that would be a change. Heathcliff, furious, wasn't the only sinner looking at Ishmael with expectant eyes. There were Otis and the other sinners who all looked to her for some answers. Ishmael? And I was too, of course.
저도 이걸 진짜 하게 될 줄은 몰랐는데 전설 같은 이야기였죠.
전설이요?
대호수를 떠들고 여기를 터전 삼는 사람들이 많은 만큼 나누어진 호수의 종류만큼이라고 해야 할까요?
Wait. People are choosing to live on certain lakes? What happens if the lakes become uninhabitable due to the laws or something? Do they just switch over to a different one for a short while, then go back?
뱃사람들에게는 그 호수에 대한 이야기가 구전되어 전설처럼 들려오곤 해요. 이 부유하는 울렁이고 어두운 잿빛 호수, 이곳에도 노랫가락에 맞추어 불려오던 전설이 존재했죠. 해무에 숨겨져 있는 공간을 열기 위해 두드려라. 창백한 그 색을 찾기 위해 고래들을 울게 해라. 고래의 울음소리 갖춰지면 드러나리.
This must have been a bit to translate.
그래서 그게 당최 무슨 뜻이요? 지금처럼 이 호수에 있는 구멍 고래들을 깨워서 인어들을 다 잡으면 창백한 고래에게 가는 길이 열린다는 말이에요.
그러니까 그걸 지금 믿으란 거지. 너도 믿고 있고, 어? 야, 살다 내가 이런 말을 꺼내게 될 줄은 진짜로 몰랐는데 너 멍청하냐? 야, 고래를 깨우는 거랑 저 빽빽한 안개가 거치는 거랑 대체 무슨 연관이 있냐? 적어도 어느 정도 말이 되어야 할 거 아니야.
히스클리프 씨가 인과관계를 가지고 논파하고 있는 장면은 정말 진귀하군요.
왜 안 좀 닥쳐라. 나 진지하니까.
Can't wait for this chapter. Really can't wait. It's one of the few things I'm looking forward to in this game.
시간 안에 호수에서 벗어나지 못하면 파도가 밀려온다는 사실은 뭐 말이 되나요?
Yeah, I guess with the lake, it's pretty much magical, isn't it?
어?
정해진 공간에 도달하기 위해 직선 항해를 하지 못하고 왔던 항로로 바로 되돌아가지도 못한 채 여기저기를 돌아다녀야만 하는 건 말이 되고요? 제가 처음부터 말씀드렸죠. 대호수에서 상식을 찾지 말라고.
Why do you expect common sense out of us then? Like, if you say that nothing makes sense, then there's like no holds barred. You have no common ground, no rule set other than the law of the lakes. And these can't be sussed out. So why are you constantly angry then? Because it's literally impossible to deduce anything if it really is as you say, Ishmael. That's what irks me.
여기는 그렇게 돌아가는 곳이에요. 그냥 그런 거라고요.
좋아. 그건 네 말이 맞아. 근데 그런다고 해서 좌편이 뭐니 그렇게 딱딱 정해져 있는 도시 규칙이랑 그런 두루뭉술한 노래랑은 완전 다른 거 아니야? 그딴 걸 믿으라고?
Yeah, here we go.
내가 직접 겪고 봤으니까.
So she's literally going, source my ass.
그 옛날 아무것도 모르는 치기 어린 항해사가 직접 배를 탔었고 직접 전설이 사실이었다는 걸 깨달았으니까. 그렇게 장례
Heathcliff fell silent, scratching his head. The rest of the sinners also nodded and began whispering.
나는 네가 진짜 마음에 안 든다.
비쳐요.
Wow. That was a little bit heavy.
정말 죄다. 마음에 안 들지만 적어도 말다툼에서 이기겠다고 거짓말을 하거나 흰 소리를 늘어놓진 않는다는 건 알아. 어디 끝까지 해봐. 일단 이 방망이로 두더지 같은 새끼들 후려치는 건 할만하니까.
나도 납득했다. 하지만 다음엔 그런 이유가 있다면 먼저 말해줬으면 좋겠군.
That would make a lot of sense. I don't think she's gonna.
노력해보죠.
어떤 의미에선 확실한 방향을 알게 되어서 다행이라는 생각도 드는군요.
Yeah, well, let's go find our next whale.
명령하신 대로. 청원, 승선.
과연 해무가 마치 쪼개지듯이 거치고 있구려.
Once we eliminated the mermaids of the last whales singled out by Ishmael, the fog slowly began to fade. Behind it was a different lake, beyond the Grey Sea. The lake within a lake, I guess?
마침내
소리
It was a short one. It's also the last stage.
있을까?
Heathcliff?
돌아갈 것.
Heathcliff? He just keeps talking. It's the last stage before we get to the dungeon, which means today's episode will be somewhat short. I'm very sorry, everyone. But I need a good rest every once in a while, especially considering what's coming up. I've been told that the dungeon is 2.5 to 3 hours long, which means that we're looking at like one stage, not stage, one level, one layer per video, I guess, as per usual. I did so in the last 4 chapters as well, I think. I was pretty much consistent in that one. The Pallid Whale 2. We waded past the ocean mist and entered the Obsidian Lake, the Lake of Legends, as told by Ishmael. Within it was the Pallid Whale, pale as the midnight moon.
날씨가 제법 굽다.
Mersal was right. The lake beyond the borders was nigh pitch black. The waves crested tall, rising and crashing violently under the thundering rainstorm.
풍랑 또한 심해지는군.
Yisang's face was starting to grow pale.
저희가 정말 할 수 있을까요?
Do you want to turn around, or what's the alternative here?
언제나 할 수 있어서 했던 적이 있었냐?
그건 그렇지.
Can we just kill the ones that are seasick and bring them back once we're there? Is that possible? It's like easier transportation, isn't it?
진입하겠습니다.
이 호수의 파도는 신경 쓰지 않아도 되나?
이 앞에 있는 구역에 대한 규칙이나 파도의 종류는 저도 몰라요.
But this time you're not pissing yourself. I get it, okay.
해무가 열있는 모습, 그 안에 파도치는 시커먼 호수는 기억에 있지만 전설이 실제하는 모습을 지켜본 선정이 흥분해서 떠들던 연설과 고래를 잡기 위한 채비를 서둘렀던 기억만 남아있어요. 그러니까 얕부터는 진짜 모험입니다.
You know what? Thinking about it, shouldn't she have had a problem with the Indigo Elder? Considering his mindset of hunting whales, shouldn't that have reminded her of her captain? Because it's pretty similar, isn't it?
그럼 모든 걸 정면으로 맞서야만 되겠군.
네, 파도가 오면 정면으로 부딪힐 겁니다. 그 고래가 나타나도요. 아직까진 조용하네요. 그때는 호수에 진입한 지 몇 분도 되지 않아서 그것이 공격해왔어요.
Everyone was as tense as they could ever be, looking around nervously.
저건 뭔가요? 뭔가 깊고 높은 게 있는 것 같은데.
Please have a CG.
가까이 다가가 보는 걸 추천한다. 내가 일어나 광원을 가까이 비추겠다.
Alright, yeah, it looks good. Mersault got up with a lantern and pointed the light towards where Sinclair indicated.
하나가 아니네요.
Pillars.
여기 뭐지? 호수 한가운데 저런 게 떠 있을 필요가.
등대 같은 건 아닐까?
근데 그렇게 보이기도 하네요.
Who builds lighthouses in the middle of this lake? Come on, guys, think a little. You remember seeing anything like that, Ishmael?
네. 기억이 흐릿한 정도가 아니라 저런 건 아예 본 적이 없는.
Oh, okay, it looks cool.
이스마엘 양, 그대도 갑작스레 뱃멀미가 도지는 것이오. 안색이 무척 창백하오만.
Just like the whale. I knew that. That can't be true. A seasick sailor only exists in jokes. Besides, Ishmael was doing just fine mere moments ago. Then, she must have had a sudden realization.
그렇군. 이런 모습이었던 거였어. 일구만으로도 저렇게.
How big is this thing? Like, how big? I'm assuming that these are like scales or something, or like spikes growing out of its back. How big must it be? How big is an actual whale? I've only seen them in pictures and like comparison pictures of like, this is a human, this is a blue whale. But it's hard for me to imagine it, you know? A terrifying realization.
어떤 건데 그래요?
알기 싫어도 알게 될 걸.
저건 헤일인가? 청원! 잡을 수 있는 건 전부 꽉 잡고 있도록!
Before we even had a chance to say anything, a leviathan of a wave rose to its crest, then crashed onto us from above. It sucked us deep into the lake before throwing us back to the surface.
운이 좋았군요. 그대로 가라앉을 확률이 더 컸을 텐데.
아니, 운이 좋은 거 맞냐 우리? 방금
Everyone okay? Everyone was soaking wet, nearly hyperventilating, but mostly awestruck by what we just witnessed.
이탈자는 없습니다만
방금
Yeah, I love how it only flashed for a split second for us as well. That's pretty good, storytelling-wise.
등대 같은 게 아니라 모조리 엄청나게 큰 고래들의 꼬리였군요.
진짜 그만하고 싶네 이거. 고래라는 게 저 따위로 생긴 거였다는 걸 모를 대로 돌아가고 싶어.
이 호수는 고래들이 잠들러 오는 곳이었던 건가? 그래, 목을 기울이고 잠들고 있으면 그 부분이 저렇게 높게 솟아오를 수도 있겠지. 하지만 이 소란스러움을 눈치채지 못할 리가 없어.
기울고 있어요!
이제 저것들이 깨어날 거예요.
We're finally here. I think that's what Ishmael whispered, but the storm, the waves buried her voice deep into the lake.
쪽빛 노인이 작전대로 무사히 합류했다면
That was a scream and a half.
저게 고래란 말인가?
We didn't have to wonder even for a second about what Don Quixote was screaming at. An entire herd of entities, each dwarfing every single wave we've weathered throughout this journey, emerged from the waters all at once. In unison, they began migrating in a singular direction. Witness something like that was enough to make even Mersault gape with plain bewilderment.
여기까지의 작전은 성공인 것 같군요.
그렇다면 우리도 이야기되었던 대로 행동하지.
저기!
There was a whale that stood out even among the herd of ineffably immense whales. Also, the Indigo Elder is very close to us, apparently. Pallid is a pale death. Its hide thick with scar tissue.
유독 상처가 많군.
거야. 역시 그 사람의 말이 맞았어. 그때 우리가 피커드호가 냈던 상처 자국이 그대로잖아.
You know, I think she's as obsessed as her captain.
그렇다고 생각됩니다.
Oh, damn. Why didn't we use a walkie-talkie before? When we were on the Lobotomy Corps branch, for example, just to call for help if we needed it. Like in the case of a middle brother appearing. And don't tell me the laws didn't prohibit that, because we're literally in unknown territory and they still thought of it, okay?
그렇습니다.
Ishmael thundered. Ishmael? No, louder than the thunder itself, as though her personality itself had suddenly shifted. Her voice seemed to overwhelm the very storm itself. The chapter's about to get very based, I think.
그래.
목표는 저 흰 것이다. 총력으로 저.
Even Otis was swept up in the sudden turn of events, repeating after Ishmael's bellowing commands. Is this what Ishmael was like when she sailed the lakes, or... Oh, it's just a captain.
불빛이 보입니다. 쪽빛 노인이군요.
The old man in his skiff was sliding across the waters toward the whale.
잘 듣게. 잠에서 깬 나머지 고래는 전부 던져놓은 미끼를 향해 갔네.
그 작전은 성공적이다. 이제
It wasn't clear whether it was the thunder or the old man's bellow that awakened the pallid whale. Its eyelids began to lift.
이런 걸 이렇게 가까이서 보는 건 오랜만.
Interesting. It was an eye of astronomical proportions, so immense that it no longer resembled an eye, but a reflective mirror of the world.
직접 보는 것을 고대했지.
The old man, harpoon in hand, draws closer to the whale with a grim, stony expression. Ishmael also aims a harpoon at the great whale, her face nearly tearing with uncontainable joy. Some sinners tremble with fear while others prepare themselves. All of it, the world, contained in a single reflective eye that stretched even beyond our peripheral visions.
자, 물고기야. 너도 미끼를 물어라.
Here's your bait, fish.
물 수밖에 없을 거다. 너는 언제나 그래 왔으니까. 내가 헤아리기 힘든 세월을 살아왔으며 내가 이해하지 못할 곳에서 태어났음을 존중하마. 하지만 난 이 기회가 지나가기 전에 이 몸으로 너와 맞서 이해의 끝으로 향할 작정이다.
The giant harpoon soars across the black sky like a bolt of lava and strikes the pallid whale.
지금이다. 배를 힘껏 저어서 나아가자.
Ishmael rose tall and alone, looking straight out beyond the speeding boat's swaying bow, harpoon in her hand.
너를 다시 마주치면 무슨 생각이 들까? 많이 생각해봤었어. 근데 의외로 복잡하지는 않네. 반갑다, 미 빌어먹을 고래 새끼야!
A fucking whale it is, quite literally. Compared to the old man's harpoon, the harpoon Ishmael hurled was like a needle. But one struck as though its body was racked by an immense, unbearable pain. The whale's maw opened, and the air itself began to vibrate.
입이 벌어진다.
I love the moving parts of this CG!
가세는 난 고기잡이를 시작할 테니
I wish the entire fucking game was like this. Every sinner heard the old man's voice. Every sinner begins rowing with all their might. in desperation, as though death itself was in our pursuit. As though it was our fate, our destiny to row. We were sucked into an endless abyss, and a rapid vortex pulled us into the maws of the beast, tenebrious as well under a moonless sky. I hope that's the word. I've read it before, but I don't know how to pronounce it. Tenebrous? There was a deep noise. And like a droplet in the sea, we melted into the fathomless dark.
들리나? 작전은 어떻게 되었지? 들리나? 어이. 아무래도 무전기가 정말로 맛이 가버린 모양이군.
걱정이야.